Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 4, Episode 47, Autel Evo Nano Update, and Mavic 3 Impressions. Mr. Marcus Crawford, welcome. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you, Bill. Sorry I waited till the last minute to jump on, but yeah, no, happy to be here. It's funny, Bill, just right before the show, I was watching Original Dobo's video with 808 State, where they compared that Mavic 3 with the Evo 2. It was a fascinating bit of work.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
But what I was doing, the Original Dobo mount is on. Okay.
There you go.
Let me tell you this. Ken's right. Look at this thing. This thing is like rock solid. Okay. It's not going anywhere. I am very impressed. And being the good friend that he is, this isn't available for sale yet, but it's a lanyard holder and it fits around in the middle, right around where the antennas are.
Oh, nice. So now I have one of those that fits on the regular controller, but it's a little different. So that just latches around the antennas?
Right. This will latch around the antennas. I got to take the tablet off to put it on, but yeah, I wanted to show everybody kind of what it looked like. But
that looks like a better device than what I have.
Well, this is perks for being for promoting my friend's products on my channel. Okay, yeah. A nice freebie. So thank you very much for that, Ken.
He's a good guy.
One of the other things I wanted to show everybody before we get going here. Okay, I got this from GPC, and I got to thank Mr. Barry Markowitz for this one. Okay, now it looks like a luggage tag. Wrong. Okay, it's an SD card holder. Look at that. Okay, and look how wafer thin it is. And it's designed to fit in the cases. There's a slot in the cases for them. So you can get, I think you can get 8 SD cards. This is going to come in handy, okay? Because any other SD card holder I've seen, it's been a little bit bulky and thick and stuff. This is perfect. This will be absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to using this. It's going to be great. I got a chance to see your other video, Marcus. You're a machine. You just don't stop, okay?
I'm telling you, that drone is so much fun to fly. It's just such a pleasure to fly that thing.
Oh, I know.
I
know. Yeah, and we'll definitely be talking about that here in a little bit. Want to see who's in the house here. Lauren is in the house. Greg Pittman, welcome, Greg. Drone Views Media. Jeff Voy's in the house. Welcome, Jeff. Steve Mack. Mr. Bill Thomas is in the house. Place It Here, Akarasho, Drone Views Media, Steve Mack is here. Who else we got? Leonard Oglesby. Let's see who else. Fly Guy Merrill. And John Olson. Okay, I think, and Drone Shots. I think we covered everybody. Okay, got a lot to talk about. Ron's going to join us here in a little bit, but kind of like first things first here. And one of the things that news and updates, we're going to be spending bulk of the time talking about the Mavic 3, but I do want to talk about the Autel Evo Nano. There is a shipping update, and it was posted out on Drone DJ, okay? And I wanted to share this because it's exciting, okay? This is, it's going to be reality here, okay? Which I think is a good thing because, we've kind of been led down the garden path with Autel before. But I think this time, I think we're going to be good. Okay, I really think we're going to be good here. And Evo Nano and Evo and Lite shipping update. And I'll read. Autel Robotics Maxwell Lee tells Drone DJ, our factories are running at full speed right now to meet production goals, and should be seeing vast quantities of Evo Nano and Evo Lite series arriving in the United States by December. We're also in the process of letting our dealers know the new product timelines now that we have the update from our engineers and factories. What I did was I went out and I looked, like, for example, at B&H, and they still show February 2022. Adorama still shows February 2022, expected delivery date. So that's just kind of, and it says in the article, I believe, leading drone retailer B&H Photo recently went as far to declare online store that Autel Nano and Lite may not be available for pickup before February 2022. Yeah, they're going to need to go ahead and change that. But I think we're going to be finding this out rather shortly. Marcus, this is great news.
It is, Bill. In fact, I got an email today from, what do they call it? The Autel store or whatever, that said exactly that same thing, that it would be shipping. Now, Ross Langdon and I both ordered our Nano Pluses from the AliExpress official Autel store. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing, but man, like you, Bill, that's going to be such a welcome surprise. And it would just be fun to see how and if Autel can blow up that sub 250-gram drone category.
I agree. I think this is going to cause a lot. I think this is going to have the effect that Hubsan wished they had had. Okay. On the mini drone market. Am I right here, Marcus?
Oh, listen, Bill, that thing was just such a disappointment to me. I had such high hopes for that drone, and it's just been. I've got it put away back here. I don't even. And they had just some big update recently, and I don't even want to get it out of the bag. It just has so many problems. So let's hope that this Autel is different, and we have every reason to expect that it will, because Autel has a track history of putting out a quality product.
Yeah, and I think I think the only thing was okay, and I touched on a little bit last night is the supply and demand here, and I really think that Autel has learned their lesson. I think they've geared up. I think with the pre-orders that have come out, it's going to be good. One of the things that I wanted to emphasize, and I think we were talking a little bit about colors and color choices and everything. I would tell people this, okay? Don't be picky, all right? If a white is available, take the white. If a gray is available, take the gray, because I know the red and the orange are going to be probably pretty popular. So, just take whatever. The drone is going to fly the same way, whatever color it is, guys, okay?
Hey, I forgot to ask you, Bill, do you have one ordered?
No, I'm going to go ahead. I get my bonus on Friday. That's when I'm going to order it.
So the other product that's intriguing, of course, is that Evo Light too. So yeah, that's really tempting. I mean, that is really, really tempting. And I think it's going to be a great drone. I mean, it's going to have a lot of great features on it. And I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
I'm just, it's going to, this is good. This is good news, because it's got, as I've always said, competition is always good, and it drives companies to do better. Okay. And finally, I really believe Autel gets some traction here with this, and they get going, and it picks up some steam. I think they're going to be on the map, and I think they're probably going to be a good, with a good year this year and a good year next year. I think they'll be a good solid number 2 as far as in the consumer drone space. I don't see anybody catching, going past them. I really don't.
Yeah.
With this. One other thing, just one more thing before we switch gears to the Mavic 3 here. I got to say this. I did a lot of in-depth looking at the Nano today, and I did read an awful lot. And I'm going to say this. If those specs match what we think they will, okay, this is going to knock people's socks off, okay? It's a pretty powerful little package for $799.
Well, you talk to Sean Geeksvana, and he's really excited about it, because what it does for them over in Europe and in the UK and in Canada is huge. I mean, you and I are excited about it. Can you imagine how you would be if you're someplace like Canada, where it helps you, you can fly that drone a lot of places you otherwise couldn't, and it's a full-featured product. I mean, it has all the stuff that it has on there.
Yeah, and to do that in a 250 sub drone, I mean, that's just, wow. Okay, it amazes me, the runtime, everything on there. So stay tuned for this. This is going to be some good news. Okay, talked a little bit about this last night with my Mavic 3. We're going to switch gears here and spend the rest of the evening on the Mavic 3. last night on Drone Nation, I shared it took 10 hours, 10 and a half hours to charge my first battery. It took 11 hours to charge my second battery. All right. Now, I have pinged DJI support, and they've been asking me questions. Okay. Now, the latest question they asked me was, what was the room temperature that you were charging the batteries in? And I said it was 73 degrees. And I told them the temperature outside ranged that day from 80 degrees down to 50 degrees at night. Okay. So, and I haven't heard back. So I haven't heard anything. So stay tuned for this. I'm interested to find out what is going on here. And I think, to be honest with you, Marcus, I think when I go ahead the second time after I deplete the batteries, okay, and I charge them for a second time, I think it'll be normal.
Well, the other thing is that, Bill, will tell us if it's your charge brick or not, right? I mean, you'll know then. That's because the big clue was you said that the battery discharged normally.
Right.
So that kind of tells you that it probably isn't a problem with the battery.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. And I asked them that. I said, is there a possibility that the charger that you supplied is defective? And, again, I'm waiting on an answer. So I'll keep everybody posted on this. And I know, Tom Ivins, who's an admin on some other groups, it took him 6 hours for one of his batteries to charge as well too. The remote controller charged without a problem. Okay. I had no problem with that. So stay tuned. But yeah, the discharge rate, like Marcus said, that's a good point that you brought up, Marcus. And I talked about this last night. It seemed like it was a normal discharge while I was flying. Okay. I expected after, so many minutes of flying for it to discharge a certain amount, and it did. So I feel pretty good that the batteries are fine. I checked them before the broadcast. They're both full, because I haven't flown today because I work. So,
what we got going for us though, Bill?
What's that?
Our friend Lauren Donauer is going to recommend, I'll bet he'll come up with a good aftermarket charger that we'll both probably have to buy.
Oh, I know. Well, and that's a real good question, because last week I asked our friend off camera, Mr. Rick Smith, about that, and he said something's in the works, so stay tuned. So,
so he might have something.
Yeah, he's going to have something.
Yeah.
Now he did tell me he has a few things available he's going to have in his store real shortly for the Mavic 3, but he said it has to wait till it comes out before they can actually go ahead and do some of these things. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned. Be on the lookout, because I'll tell you what, that one charger, I bought it for the Mavic Air 2. That thing was phenomenal. Okay, it worked like a champ. Had no problems. And people, one of the things that I like is buying it off of Rick, because he tests all these products out. Okay, he doesn't just throw them out on his website and say, here, these are for sale. No, he tests these things out. And the charger I got was from him, and it worked like a champ. So stay tuned for all that. Okay. Now, one of the other things that I found out today, that there is a Mavic 3 accessory that will not be available in North America.
I bet I know where you're going.
Yeah, and I wanted to get this out here, because I did see some people have some questions about this. And DJI Mavic 3 4G dongle unlikely to come to US anytime soon. And here's actually what that is. Okay, and you can see how it's mounted on the back of the drone, and it actually looks like it has a port that's connected to the USB port here. So, and what it does is the DJI Smart Controller does not support DJI cellular transmission dongle. Therefore, DJI Smart Controller cannot be used with DJI Mavic 3. Thank you for your understanding and support. Now it said, because every country has separate laws and regulations for communication and radio frequency equipment, DJI is studying the applicability of North America's regulatory requirements to the 4G dongle. Thanks for understanding. So it'll work. It seems it's unlikely it'll come to North America, United States. It would help provide better connection for the Mavic 3 in tough environments with a lot of interference, and make the video transmission range irrelevant. Therefore, this means the Mavic 3 could be flown well beyond visual line of sight. So
it's all about VVLOS, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what that is. And for me, I think you know, I could take it or leave it, Marcus, you know, with something like that.
Well, now, yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, what you and I do, gosh, how far do we ever fly a drone?
Yeah.
But if BVLOS became a reality for us, it might be kind of fun sometimes in certain situations. But yeah, I mean, I don't see it as to me, that dongle is more of a commercial application than it is for a hobbyist. Yeah. But I think the good news is that it tells you that DJI is also thinking about BVLOS, and I suspect that we may get the ability to do that sometime in the future.
I think so too, and I think, you know, it's very interesting. If, you know, let me go ahead. I want to put this picture back up here. Where is it? You know, let's get this picture back up here. It's interesting because, you know, one thing
is not showing up on the screen.
There we go.
There it is. Yep,
there we go. Okay. You know, it's interesting because, you know, this is plugged into the back of the USB port right here. Okay. And, you know, this and the setup here, which is nice. I mean, it's a way to mount an accessory module. You got to believe, you know, DJI doesn't waste tech like this. Okay. So there may be other things that they're going to mount on something like this. In fact, it may be a Mavic 3 Enterprise kind of a deal where they get it set up, you know, to have the speakers, to have the strobe lights, that kind of thing, to look like it would hook up to this portion of the drone. So stay tuned for something like that. I think it's interesting.
So Lauren is asking, did you notice the name on that? I couldn't tell, Bill, on that picture. What is there a name? I'm not sure. Or Lauren, can you enlighten us what's going on there?
DJI Mavic 4.3. Let me put this back up here again.
You know, Lauren, he made that comment for a reason.
Yeah, Lauren.
I'm curious is what it is.
Yeah. DJI Mavic 3 4G dongle. So, that's what that is. So, okay. Next thing that I wanted to talk about, because I've gotten a ton of emails and a ton of comments on this, is the smart controller compatibility. And I'm so thankful that our good friend Hey Castellou put out an article about this. And I've been sending this link to a lot of people, but I wanted to cover this on purpose tonight because I was getting just a flood of questions on it. And the Mavic 3 is not compatible with the original DJI Smart Controller version 1. Okay, it's not going to work that way. Okay, now what is an unanswered question is the new Smart Controller backwards compatible? You know, will it work with other drones that the original Smart Controller worked? I haven't seen an answer for that question yet. Okay, but I wanted to go ahead and point this out here, that this is not going to work. Okay, just wanted to let people know this so they don't go, you know, off the rails and get all upset and everything. And remember, you know, the basic thing behind this, and I talked about this with Rick on last week's show, was, remember, this is OcuSync 3, or they call it OS 3 now. And remember, the original Smart Controller is OcuSync 2. And I think it's like apples and oranges. I don't think they would be able to communicate. And I think Rick was right. I don't think that they'd be able to communicate with something like this. So that basically, I mean, you know, that's it in a nutshell. It's not just, you know, it's just not going to work. Okay. And I think that's important for people to understand and to know that, so they don't get their hopes up and they say, well, I have a smart controller, it should work. It should work with the Mavic 3. No, it's not going to work with the Mavic 3. Okay. So be that as it may. Okay. And I have to say this. All right. Okay, guys, this is the way to go. All right. For me and for a lot of you, $759 for the tablet. Okay. Versus $1,200 for the new smart controller. Okay, it's kind of a no-brainer, you know. And of course, definitely you want to support our good friend Original Dobo. This mount was $19, and I'm telling you, this thing is rock solid. Okay, it's not going anywhere. It's absolutely not going anywhere. So,
hey, Bill, just for contrast, I wanted to show you the this
oh,
one.
your holder.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I bought this. I think I got it off of Etsy or something, but it's very similar to what you're talking about. But I think yours is better because it goes around those bars.
Yeah.
This thing goes down into the well, where the cable is.
Okay.
This part of it right here, and quite frankly, so then whatever your mobile device is, the base of it is sitting right here, so it's secure. But anyway, it's just interesting. The differences in the two designs, but it works really well for hanging on to that controller.
And I have to say this, everybody's right, and Ken points out as well too. This thing is heavy. Okay, it's not light, so you want to have a lanyard and have it hanging around your neck, because this thing is kind of on the heavy side, and it's something that I would encourage you to get. Is you can look on Ken's Etsy shop and get one of these as well too. And it's something, Ken is a genius for this. That's all I have to say. I mean, it's phenomenal. Now I have to say this though, Triple Tech provides you with a screwdriver, and those screws are a son of a gun to get in because they are very tiny. They're really small. And I did it in a wide open area. I used a white paper towel to put them on, and I turned this on a microfiber cloth so I didn't scratch the screen when I was putting the mount on. But that mount is on there rock solid. It's not going to go anywhere. So that's a very good thing. All right. One of the things we want to probably spend the bulk of the time is impressions. Now, Marcus, tell us about your latest video. I've watched it, but go ahead and tell everybody about it who may have not seen it yet.
Yeah, well, we talked about it a little bit last night. So, yeah, what I did was I just found a place, a different spot on the Snake River Canyon, and I've kind of flown out over there before. But in this case, I thought, well, I don't need to drive all the way out to the canyon rim. Because of that drone, it has such great battery power and so forth. I could stop right in a spot where I had a nice little paved spot to take off and land, and be comfortable. Took off, flew the drone out there, and went over the rim of the canyon. And one of the things I got to thinking of, people are always asking me to fly down into the canyon. Can you fly down? So I thought, well, this thing is OcuSync 3. Let's see what it does, right? So I just pulled down on that stick and started going into negative values, below my takeoff point. And it got down about 14, 15 meters or so, which is about 45 feet below. And I lost connection, just lost everything, lost FPV, lost connection. And the drone did what it should, and it went into return to home, and it rose. And one of the things, I had the return to home height set at 35 meters. So I was kind of like, or maybe 30 meters, I don't remember which, but I'm thinking, when it came back over the canyon, it was only about 15 meters high. And I guess I kind of spoiled it there. It did come back and then rise up over the top of the canyon and start coming home. But Lauren pointed out to me earlier today with Smart Return to Home, well, that's exactly what it does. It, as soon as it saw that it was high enough to get over the canyon, it did the boogie. So anyway,
that's smart, and thank you for talking about that, because watching it, you could see, and that's a genius part on DJI's part, okay? Because one of the things they talked about, and you saw in the video on the premiere night, was that they're trying to do things to conserve battery as much as possible on this drone. In this new Smart Return to Home, it does that. And that's one of the things, you just pointed it out, okay? It's a genius thing that it does that. And it really just impressed the daylights out of me. I just absolutely, I loved watching that. I absolutely loved watching that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say how far down the canyon I went, Bill, but it's further than I've ever flown a drone before. And it was a perfect connection the whole time. I mean, other than when I went down below that I just described.
Right.
It was, the FPV was just stunning. And, the control was perfect. It's just an amazing amazing piece of tech.
Well, and this is one of the things that really amazes me is, and we talked about it a little bit last night, was how quiet this drone is. Okay.
Yeah.
I had it up 100, it was 100, about 110, 115 feet above me. And it was like a whisper. It was like a breeze, like a just a gentle breeze going by. Okay.
It sounds like a fan, doesn't it? I've been trying to figure out how to describe it. It doesn't necessarily sound like any drone you've ever heard before.
Yeah, it's just real interesting. Mr. Ron Brown, how are you, sir?
Hello, gentlemen. Are we live here tonight?
We are live.
You guys, I didn't mean to interrupt a great conversation, but I just got in from flying this new guy over here.
Oh.
Hey, how come that gimbal isn't flopping around, Ron?
Somebody made a video where they showed the gimbal locks when you turn off. I think it's that Idaho quadcopter channel. Probably should subscribe to that guy. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, he does know his
cool
stuff.
Feature though. That is one of those things that you didn't think of, and it's a neat feature.
And I also something that I learned off of Marcus's video, Bill, was when I was out flying. It was in 4K 60, and one of the things is when I started to fly, it inherited all the settings that I had in Texas when I was flying the Air 2S with the same app, the same device, and all the settings carried over. So it started out in 4K 60, but as Marcus pointed out, every time he wanted to do zoom, it would seamlessly change over the 4K 30. You could see it at the bottom, where your settings are at the bottom, right. But it wouldn't be any jump. You didn't have to do anything. If you switch to zoom, it just automatically, without really noticing anything, went to 4K 30. So, I mean, it's nice that it switches without some kind of a message popping up. In other words, you can keep on filming without any interruption.
That's great, Ron. That's a great point.
It did ask me to stop recording, Ron.
I did see that a couple times.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it doing it every time. But
really?
I did screen recording, so we will review the footage and get the complete skinny on that. But I do got to make a confession, guys. I flew at sunset, and I did kind of pixel peep or whatever on the computer on the images and the video. And I mean, I love my Mavic 2 Pro, I really do. But I keep it down. The video, I mean, just on one look, and I didn't do anything special. I just filmed it on, regular mode or whatever. The video does look better, guys.
Yeah, don't talk too loud. Your Mavic 2 might hear you, Ron.
Yeah, and a lot of Mavic 2s out there.
Ron, we are all just waiting for your sunset/sunrise videos.
And I got a decent one tonight too. Again, I didn't do anything fancy, just Dr. Auto'd everything, and I mean, and even I looked at JPEGs, and JPEGs they look better too than the Mavic 2 Pro or the Air 2S. So I mean, I know a lot of people wonder about the high price of this, and I know. Outside of the camera, everything's kind of an incremental upgrade. It's a little faster. It flies a little further. Actually, it's got much better battery life, not just a little bit. But the camera, you're going from, a 1-inch sensor drone to a Micro Four Thirds, which is a considerable increase in the camera hardware and what it takes. And just that alone is probably, more than half the price bump from the previous generation Mavic 2 Pro. Just again, this camera isn't just slightly better. It's not like you went from a 1/2.6 sensor to a 1.5. This is a substantial bump, not just a point bump. So and the proof's in the pudding. You can look at it your first video out, you can see the difference.
Oh, I did. It's like I'm gonna put my first video together tomorrow. I didn't have time today because I was working, but
because we kept you too busy on gabbing on Drone Nation last night.
I was gabbing on Drone Nation last night. That was a great show, guys. You need to go back and watch it. That was a fantastic show. And DeMarco got taken to the cleaners with his pick last night.
Well, I mean, we could get somebody to come in and make the easy picks, but DeMarco he he picks a team that's already down a couple touchdowns and goes with him. That's what I mean. He's fearless in his forecast.
He stuck with his conviction, didn't he, Ron?
Yeah. Well, what's that thing? Steve Jobs said at one time about something your conviction or something like that. But anyhow, yeah. But you're right,
Steve
Bill.
Jobs said it. We know it was great.
Yeah. But anyhow, yeah, Bill, you're right. The Niners, man. I went down and just watched that last quarter, and the Niners it was like old style Pittsburgh football from the 70s. They just got too physical for the Rams. They were taking
smash mouth, just smash.
Yeah, you remember the old steel curtain Steelers? They got physical with the opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should have got physical, like we said last night on that goal line or whatever. Instead of getting physical, Pittsburgh they got fancy throwing those
3 passes in a row.
Yeah, they thought they were some pretty boy team out there, huh?
Don't even go there. That was atrocious. That really was.
That should have been, like you said, they got that 230, 40-pound rookie running back from. He should have saw the ball. He should have saw 3 carries. All he had to do was one carry.
Oh, yeah. He had over 100 yards that night. He was running. The offensive line was cooking. Why not? I know we digress here.
I just pulled a Joe Scarborough on that morning show and disrailed the whole show with the football talk. Sorry, folks. Back to drones.
I got to say this.
Ron gave me an excuse to pick it up. I just enjoy holding the damn thing. So,
God, yeah.
I'm getting better at managing the holster here.
Yeah.
I got my own holster down, but I'm figuring out better ways. And what I like about this is I can just drop it in any camera bag with this thing when I don't have to worry about the props getting bad or anything. I just threw it in an all-purpose camera bag and took out. And the same camera bag I put the Autel Evo 2 Pro in because it's kind of like that reminds me of this drone more than any other as far as the wide base and the long. The Evo 2 Pro has long propellers like this does.
So, Ron, you make a good point. So, you having flown them both, I mean, can you give us just kind of a feel of just kind of a 50,000-foot view of how you feel the flight controls? How are they?
Very similar. I mean, I can't tell you out of the box because I've tuned my Evo 2 Pro to my own likings, and I can't really recall exactly how I flew out of the box. But this one, I didn't tune it all. I just flew it out of the box. I'm going to definitely change the settings. There's a few things I didn't like about the way it handled. Again, it's like what do you like, Ford or Chevy better? What I like, how I think it should fly doesn't mean anything to anybody else. But it kind of feels like the same bird a little bit. I think they're about the same width, but the Evo 2 is a little heavier. And somebody somebody sent me this video. I forget, maybe on Drone Nation or maybe privately. It was some video of somebody in the Eastern European language. So, and it wasn't subtitles. So I couldn't hear all the words. But a guy compared the low light video from the Evo 2 Pro and the Mavic 3. And boy, it was darn close. It wasn't that big of a separation.
Yeah, we were just talking about right at the very top of the show about the video that Dobo just put out.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, Ken and 808 State got together and they did interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the road all day today. I just got home in time to get my first flight in, but I think I'll be around more tomorrow, so I'll definitely get another. I only got one battery, so I only get one flight, but I did get one long flight in today. It is that extra 5 minutes or so you get out of this is nice. I'm jumping subjects. So you talked about 808 State, and he's a big Autel man. Somebody sent me this message. If the Autel Nano Plus is advertised at 28 minutes flight time, I mean, somebody was saying we're hoping he even gets 20 minutes, and is 20 minutes flight time acceptable in this day and age or whatever, even from a mini drone? And I understand it may have obstacle avoidance that actually works, but I mean, I'd rather not have the obstacle avoidance and have 30 minutes of flight time. What do you guys think about that?
Good point, Ron. Yeah, that
is a real good point. You want, there has to be. Here's. Let me go back here a little bit with a spark. Okay,
mm-hmm.
you were darn lucky to get 15 minutes out of the Spark. All right.
You'd have to have 0 wind to get 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. You were pushing the outer edge of the envelope, as they say, to get 15 minutes out of the Spark.
But in that day, that wasn't terrible. In its heyday, that wasn't terrible.
Right. And now fast forward. Okay. Like with the Mini 2, I can get maybe 24, 25 minutes, with some wind.
Even under mixed conditions, you could get that out. Yep.
Yeah. So I would think for me, for a mini drone, and I'm going to go by, the leader, DJI, I think you should get at least a solid 25 minutes out of a mini drone. You really should.
Or darn close, yeah.
I
worry that the Nano Plus get advertised in 28 minutes means it's more like 20 minutes. You're gonna be lucky.
I hope not.
That's kind of not acceptable anymore. That's more or less the Anafi's flight time.
Yeah, and it's a whole different kind of drone. It really is, and I'm hoping it's not the case.
Well, the feature set on there, I think, is what they're kind of focused on. Because Ron, you know this, how many and really in that category of drone, I don't know why it's such a big deal, but people really focus on that tracking. Boy, they really want tracking, and I guess if you're going to have tracking, you almost have to have obstacle avoidance. So,
good point. Marcus is making here to get all those bells and whistles in there. It takes a lot of horsepower, we'll say, or drone power to do all that, and maybe they're being honest with that time rather than saying 35 minutes when they know that's not the actual time. Anyhow, I'm glad Marcus has pre-ordered it for us, so he will be able to do a runtime test on it before I put my dollars down.
Well, one of the things I was going to say about this too is, and I have no idea what the menus are going to look like or anything on the Nano Plus, but there could be a way to shut off the obstacle avoidance and shut off the tracking and have it not consume that battery. So that may be a possibility. I hope that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to bring up one more point. We were talking about comparing, before we get off of the comparison between the Evo 2 and the Mavic 3. Our friend Ross Langdon changed his mind, and he bought. We know he's a big Autel fan.
Yeah,
and he
went to the dark side. Yeah,
he did. He bought. Well, he's had DJI drones.
Yeah. We're just giving him a hard time.
Yeah, but he bought a Mavic 3. So it's going to be really interesting to see his comparisons with the two drones, because he has so much experience with that Autel Evo 2 Pro that we'll just see what he comes up with between the two.
Yeah, I'd like to do a comparison someday, video quad compare, but that's down the road for me. I want to put this Mavic 3 through his paces and not compare it to other things right away. I just want to stand on its own as a good drone. Right, and I'll get to the comparisons down the road.
Well, and plus, I think where I appreciate where you're coming from, Ron, is number one, you want to learn how to fly that Mavic 3, and you want to learn its idiosyncrasies and stuff before you go down that road. I totally get that.
Yeah. So so I did a screen quarantine because I didn't have time to set up like B-roll camera, and I kind of made some observations on the when I get it edited and put out. I made some observational things, some things that surprised me, some things I didn't know about. So were some surprises today. Fine, I don't mean bad surprises. I mean mostly good surprises out there. So I do know that I like. Here's something I like, and that it has zoom. Of course, it has zoom in the video. Marcus, showed that greatly in his first video, but it also has zoom in photos, which we don't get that from the Air 2 series. We only get that from the Mini series or the Mini 2. But this has a zoom in photos. But when you use a zoom in photos, you can no longer take bracketed photos, because you can turn on JPEG plus RAW, and then you can bracket your photos where you can take either 3 or 5 exposures. But when you go to zooming
Can't do it.
It does the same thing, like I said about the 4K 60. It turns, I think, all that off, and you just get a generic JPEG zoomed in, which I'm not saying that's bad. I'll take any zoom in photos, but it's good to see some zooming in there, Marcus.
Well, hey, I see Jeff Voigt in the chat. So we always talk about how perfect DJI drones are. He had to take one of his original M3 that he bought. He had to return it to Best Buy because he had a crooked horizon on it. So, but the cool thing is they just handed him another drone.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And as we all say, DJI is not perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's just that DJI is a little bit closer than most of the competition to that point, but they're not perfect.
A lot closer.
Well,
again, I can't speak to all, but a lot of Evo 2 Pro owners, it's not a whole lot of complaints going on among Evo 2 Pro owners. There's always some outlier. I know, what's our friend's name? He lives in California. He's changed his channel name and last year. He had to return like 3 or 4 because he had cracking.
That's right.
In the side there, whatever. So I mean, there are people that have issues, but I mean, generally, most people I talk to, like 808 State, Ross, and so on, a lot of Evo 2, we don't really have a whole. We all have our firmware complaints. Things should be fixed or better, whatever. But in big things like crooked horizons and falling out of the sky and losing, connection. I mean, it's not, it's not rampant in the Evo 2 Pro community. So.
It's always good, and you brought up a good point. With Jeff being able to get his at Best Buy, have a brick and mortar store to be able to take it back to.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Unfortunately for me, all right, it was going to be the way things are in the state of Florida, and I talked about this last night on Drone Nation. Excuse me. When I ordered mine, everything looked good, and then the next day I got an email from Best Buy that said estimated delivery or at the store was going to be November 24th. And I'm like, no.
I saw the same timeline when I was going to order from Best Buy, Bill.
No. So I went ahead and I decided to go ahead and get mine from DJI. And I also, I had some DJI credits as well too. Right. So, so that kind of, and plus they were super, I got to say this. I ordered it Tuesday. It was sitting. I got it at 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. Okay,
can't beat that,
so it was fast. It was really fast.
And as far as repairs, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen Russ over 51 Drones video. He crashed his Mavic 3 already, but he did get the DJI Care Refresh, and they've upgraded the program now to where when he sent the drone back, as soon as they took return shipment of his drone, they immediately shipped a new unit out to him. So he didn't have to wait for a repair or anything like that. He immediately had a new drone away as soon as they had his old one in their hands. That's
great. That just brings up the point. Did you guys order Care Refresh?
I did get Care. I got 1 year of Care Refresh. Almost after seeing Russ's video. That's again. That's
I'm going to go ahead and do that. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to go ahead and do it because I was waiting for my bonus, and I hope I didn't let the time go because I know you have a time limit.
I think it's 48 hours. Bill.
48 hours, Bill, and
I'm toast.
Well, but no, I don't think you need to fret yet because they do have a system. If you're beyond that 48 hours, but they make you take pictures of the drone because they want to know that it's.
Yeah. So
I think we still do it. But Bill, I did the same thing, and I've been having, especially after talking to Ron, I've been having those same kind of second thoughts. I was mad. I'm just going to be straightforward. I've got that DJI Select membership, and in the past, they've always given you a discount on Care Refresh. Remember that, and they didn't on the Air 2S, and they didn't on this. So I kind of just threw a little fit, and I said, "Well, by God, I'm not going to order it." Well, now I'm kind of regretting it.
Well, there's always what Allstate.
Yeah, State Farm.
State Farm. I thought about that too, Ron. And there's also a program at Best Buy. I bought it at Best Buy, but I don't know.
I'm definitely going to go ahead. See, I got to call my State Farm agent up. It's called Personal Articles Policy. It's available in every state except California. And my premium for the year is like $75. And you know what's nice with them? They replace it, no questions asked.
or pay for a repair too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's repairable, they'll pay for the repair. Yeah,
They'll pay for the repair, which is fantastic. So, and $75 for the year. I mean, Care Refresh is a little pricey now.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so it's
it's not cheap, Bill. You're right.
It's
$239 for the the Mavic 3. Of course, it's all based on the cost of the drone. Of course, the Care Refresh for the Mini's a lot cheaper, whatever.
Right.
Well, one of the use cases for me, and one of the things I was kind of excited about with this drone is that 360 obstacle avoidance. I want to use it, and I want to use it for tracking, and I want to do that kind of stuff. Well, if I'm going to put the drone in that kind of a situation, I probably do want some kind of insurance on it. So anyway,
can you imagine repair if you had to pay for yourself? Imagine the repair bill on that gimbal, because everybody's crashed has had gimbal damage, because
that's the point. That's another great point.
Big heavy gimbal sticking out there. So you probably that repairing that gimbal would probably be the cost of like an Air 2S or something.
Half the cost of the drone, right?
Yeah, I had heard that if you need to replace the camera, it's $1,100. Okay,
that sounds right.
That's
the price of a Flymore Air 2S kit.
Yeah, really. I mean, you're buying yourself a whole new drone right there with that. So yeah, that does pay for itself, especially if you've had accidents before, or you're prone to that kind of stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to get.
And folks, Marcus knows this too. When you hit that, if you only get 1 year's worth, before that 1 year's over, DJI will contact you and try to convince you to get another year. So just because you don't get 2 years right off the bat doesn't mean you won't have a chance to get that second year as your anniversary approaches. Marcus, I got hounded by the Mini 2 recently for extending
it. Yeah. Hey, Jeff Voigt is saying that there's a Snake River flyer policy. Jeff, send me that their website. I'd like to.
It's like that commercial with Aaron Rodgers and those guys. You have to ask. You have a special discount. You have to ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
Those commercials, Bill, right there. Aaron Rodgers and the Kansas City quarterback, and they're all in it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that commercial. Yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely. Yeah. So I got to call my state.
Lawrence confirmed in chat the gimbal's $1,100 US.
Yeah, there you go.
And Bill Grace is saying State Farm insurance is cheaper than it sure is, Bill.
Yeah.
Now let me about this insurance. Okay, so say you got your State Farm or whatever other regular insurance, and you crash it, and they're going to get a full pair. Now is that a deal where you have to wait? Like slow roll, like a week or so for them to get that check out to you?
No, I heard.
I mean,
from what I've talked to them, people say it's usually within 24 to 36 hours they get you a check.
Okay.
So it's pretty fast.
Okay, well,
it's pretty fast, their response. So, and people have said, now I've talked to somebody who, she used to be my rep at the agency, and she started her own agency. And she's exclusively covers drones here in the Tampa area.
Oh,
and she's with State Farm, and that's all she does. And it's there's a lot of drone flyers down here where we are. Wow. I mean, because one of the things I looked into doing what Ken's doing, like either real estate or roof inspections or things like that. Yeah. The market is just on top of each other. It's crazy. People will cut you off for $25.
I say you have to do the job for $20. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous.
Let me tell you what those other drone companies don't know is that our friend Matt Cundiff is entering the commercial drone world. And when they see the quality of the product he puts out, they're going to kick all the rest of them to the curb.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to go. They're going to find a new line of work.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, it's, and one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was I was impressed, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Okay. Now I recorded I've only done one video on it at 4K 30. And I got to say this, I was impressed with how sharp the details were. I mean, it was like really sharp, and I'm trying to compare it to and now my previous last flight was with the Air 2S up there at 4K 30. Okay. It was as sharp or even sharper, like the details. being able to see things at the same altitude. I mean, it really impressed me how sharp it was.
Jake Sloan already did a comparison video, and he, you know, and what he showed, the Mavic 3 didn't look substantially better than the Air 2S in a lot of scenarios. And I'm not disagreeing with Jake at all. I mean, he's the expert. But just what I saw on one flight today, 25-minute flight today, to me, it looks, every clip looked better than I got from the Air 2S at the same location. So just based on all one time. But again, you know, we're you know, this is the Panasonic Lumix GH5, like a famous Micro Four Thirds camera, shoots stills, but it's known as a video camera. So now, you know, I'm kind of like, you know, this is kind of on the same, you know, the same image, same size, not the same sensor, but the same size as this. So that's incredible that this has the same, you know, image size as this kind of like, you know, semi-pro, you know, DSR video camera. So I mean,
that is amazing.
That is amazing, Ron. That's a great comparison. Thank you for bringing that up.
And real quick, I know you mentioned this on the show last night, Bill, that you have charging issues. You know, you have the same base kit as I do. And when I got home tonight, I plugged the drone in, the same thing. It went, I think I took it down to 19%. It charged up to 100% in an hour and a half. So I think the issue may just be related to your drone.
I think it's and Marcus and I were talking about it a little bit before you joined us tonight. And one of the things, I'm kind of narrowing it down. I think it's the charger, because I checked the batteries, and the batteries are still, after I charge them, still at 100%, both of them. And after my first flight, it went down to what I expected it to do after a 20-minute flight. Okay. It depleted to the point where it looked like it actually made sense. And I could see that in terms of the percent used. So I feel pretty confident that there's something with the charger. Now, what I did was I've pinged DJI, and their latest question was, they asked me, what was the temperature in the room that you were charging? So I told them it was 73, it was 50 outside at night, 80 during the day. But also asked them this, I said, is there a possibility that it could be the charger? So what I'm hoping for is, if they say yes, go ahead and swap out your charger. I'm hoping, and I really hope this is the case, we could just swap out the charger, because if you guys remember, when I got the Air 2S with the Firmware kit, the charging base, the pins were bent in it, and they wanted me to send everything back. And I'm like, So I just kind of swallowed it and said, forget it. I'm not going to worry about it. And did without a charging base. But I'm kind of hoping that they kind of do the opposite here and say, okay, just send the charger back, and we'll go ahead and get you out a new one. So.
Yeah, that stinks when something like that happens, or whatever, where you have to send everything back for a small part or whatever. And, you know, I don't know do you know what watt charger this is?
65.
65, yeah.
Yeah. And even if you had another 65 round, it probably wouldn't have the automatic, you know, cutoff that this has for the drone. That when it's full, this automatically shut down, not overcharge your battery. So you definitely want the original charger for that, you know, that safety point of, you know, stopping the charging once it's full.
Oh yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get up for a flight tomorrow before I put another video again, try to get up for a second flight. And then what I want to do, I really kind of want to run it down a lot. And then I want to see how long it takes to charge it back up. And I'm hopeful this time around that maybe, just maybe, it will charge normally. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it can work itself out. Real quick too, when I flew, I know Marcus gave some speed times. When I flew with the wind at the back of the drone, I hit 45 miles per hour in sport mode. And when I flew back into the wind, I was still hitting the low 40s. I was hitting, like, I saw 41 flying into the wind today.
Yeah, that's about what I got. That's pretty close to what I got.
And I didn't have or what's the app, the UAV forecast? It said like, it said like 20 mile per hour. They said like, you know, not good to fly or whatever, right? I took it up. I mean, it was all wrong. It was hardly any wind out there at all. I'm going to say that it was probably around 5-6 sustained and maybe 10 or 11 gusts. So that app was all wrong, or it was like it was given the forecast of a couple hours ago, but I hadn't I had a little wind and it performed. I mean, it got down to the next beach town, Longport. It just with the seconds I was like in the next town.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's spec wise, it's probably not substantially faster than the Air 2S and the Mavic 2 Pro, but it just in your hands, it felt much faster. Marcus, is that the same way it felt to you?
What? Yeah, it did to me too, Ron. But I'll tell you why I think that is. I think it's that ascent speed, because the ascent speed is so fast and the descent speed is so fast. I think that's why it gives us that impression.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron,
I know the ascent speed is much faster than the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know how much faster is in the Air 2S, because the Air 2S also had a fast,
it did. I think it's faster. Yeah. I think Billy said 17 miles an hour when he measured it.
This is a small thing, but I noticed, like, when it rides up, it's the home point has been established. There's a different sound. Okay. It's a different sound from the app. It makes a completely different sound than
startup chime. Yeah, they came up with a new chime.
There's a different kind of chime, something different.
Hey, Ron, I'm curious, what SD card did you use?
I used the SanDisk, the red one. What do they call the red one?
The Extreme Pro.
Yeah, the ones. Hold on.
Extreme Pro, I believe.
I got it right here. I got to get better light here. I need 2 hands.
Here we go, guys.
You got the black one. That's the Pro. The one with the gold bottom is just the Extreme. Yeah.
And it seems, I've already transferred files to the computer, and everything looks good or whatever. I didn't see see any video issues. I mean, I haven't put into an editor web, but so far so good. What do you guys think of the way, like, it kind of, the card clips in that good light, that little thing, that little compartment back here?
It's a pain in the rear.
Okay.
It is.
And you put the card in like upside down, like you put that red thing facing, the red part facing downward.
Yeah, you got to take the battery out. You should. I mean,
I usually put it in and out with the battery in.
Yeah, Rick talked about that last week and said, he said, I'll give you all a tip. Take that battery out when you're putting that SD card in.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, that was a poor design, and better than that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use that bottom, but even when the Mavic 2 and the other one's at bottom, and that kind of funky thing on the side there, I never thought that was the greatest.
No, I agree, Ron.
But I mean, I mean,
if we're nitpicking.
This is a nitpick. If that's a con, I mean, if the worst con is you don't like the little battery compartment or whatever, you're doing good.
I've got a little nitpick as well, and that's the fact that I wish we could plug the battery into the charger without having it installed on the drone. And of course,
Skydio wanted to be done this way because they didn't want to. Skydio didn't want to be made look bad.
Well,
I don't turn the drone on here.
I suspect there's some circuitry in there in the drone that they're using to condition that battery. Is probably the reason they do that.
And you think that same thing could be in the charging plate, the multi?
Oh no, there's no question about it. Yeah. And you brought up Skydio. It's the same thing. That there's even in the Skydio, the little 2 charger hub. There's even a fan inside that thing. You'll hear the fan come on. So no doubt there's some circuitry in there. And so I suspect it's the same with DJI. There's circuitry within the drone that helps condition that battery.
I mean, the only good thing you can say about this up here, if you have to charge from like the car or something like that, if you have to charge not at home, like you want to give a little extra charge in your car, you can see that as a positive.
That's true.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is, say you wanted to charge a battery while you were up on another flight, and of course that doesn't apply to us probably as hobbyists. But if you were commercial, you would want to be able to have batteries charging while you were up flying.
True.
Now, Rick showed me something last week, and it was real interesting. And I forget the name of the company. I know them because I post them on my technology channel a lot, and it's a portable power source. He says it's about $275, $300 that he's going to put a review on for it. He said it is fantastic at charging batteries in the field. He absolutely loves it. He said he highly recommends it. Says it is a little pricey. It's about $300, but boy, that thing, and it lasts all day.
Hey, in the comments, RidgeFlyer32 is asking, geez, where do you guys want the card slot then? I can answer that. I want a card slot that I could easily grab that card in and out of. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Marcus, I want the card slot the same place it was in Paradenofi.
And he's, yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to, and Ron didn't see this, but our good friend Barry Markowitz told me about this. This is a GPC SD card holder. It was just a couple of bucks, and I ordered it, and it holds 8 SD cards. And it's real nice because there's a slot in GPC cases that you can just put this in. When I looked for other SD card holders, they all were not this thin. Okay, they were all kind of on the larger side. This is perfect. It's a perfect size. It'll fit in there. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and you could probably get a couple of them in the slot. So if you need to take 16 SD cards with you, you could probably do something like that. So,
well, Barry's, of course, a professional photographer, videography, so he needs all this stuff. But Marcus and I just take 3 or 4 drones with us. Each one has a memory card, and we don't have those concerns.
That's right. Oh,
Marcus is distracted here. Something
yeah, I had another window open up, Ron. I'm sorry I missed it completely.
Oh, look, Bill's got his original Dobo tablet mount going there.
Sure do. And this thing is rock solid. Okay. Absolutely rock solid. And then
now, can you put a lanyard on there now?
Well, guess what? Ken sent me this.
Oh,
okay. Fits around the antenna right there like that, and boom, there's the hole for the lanyard right there.
Yeah. So I think Ron has one of these. You've got one of these, don't you, Ron?
Pardon?
Don't you have one of these? Because I thought you showed it to me that holds the lanyard on the controller.
I have for the Air 2S Arizona Drone Dude printed me a whole 3-piece setup where I have that lanyard, that piece, and then I also have another piece I can put a tablet or a phone on the Mavic controller, the Air 2S controller, Mavic 3 controller, mini controller.
Yeah, I just what I was going to say was I like the way Dobo did that because it looks like to me like it just snaps into those two bars.
Yeah. And with the setup Bill has there, he has like an 8-inch tablet, and and that makes it kind of ungainly if you have to kind of balance that thing for a long flight. Where at least if you have that little rest that land in your neck or whatever, it takes a little balance and all that big setup, for the Mavic 3 case, maybe a 25-30 minute flight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ron. Makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Marcus, any closing thoughts for tonight?
I know everybody's talking about the weather in the chat. I know Lauren was saying that they've got wind and rain going on, and a lot of people were talking about wind and rain. I'm fortunate. We've got some pretty good days here in Idaho, so I'm hoping to get out and do some flying.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my daughter and son-in-law, I talked to my daughter, it was her birthday this weekend. They had snow in Ohio.
Oh, boy. I'm just like Marcus. We've had good weather coming most of this week, so I hope to get a couple flights in before maybe the bad weather arrives here. I think it's good through Saturday here. I mean, warmer than usual temperatures. Mostly sun. Now we had some high winds yesterday, but they all went almost completely away today. So again, I'm looking forward to getting a few more test flights in this week with the Mavic 3. So far, I mean, I really don't have any cons. Forget that memory thing. I don't care if the memory was popped in the left propeller as long as it works.
Yeah. Wherever it is for me, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, well, I got to say this. I like it better than on the side of the drone. The side of the drone I thought was a real pain in the butt. It was not easy. And what's nice about this is technically you don't have to unfold everything to get the SD card out if you wanted to
That's
do
true.
that, because before with the Mavic 2 you had to unfold the legs to go ahead and get the SD card out, so you don't have to do that. So
Especially if you're in a cramped environment like when we were in Spin Up, you know, we didn't have a big as desk as a home, and you had stuff on desk, you had to clear everything away to unfold all the arms to get.
oh yeah,
That's a good point, Bill. It really is. You know, so yeah, I definitely a good point.
so like you guys, we've actually been having some. It was actually got up to 80 today. It's getting down into the 50s at night. So
Well, you don't mind some 50s at night. That's good sleeping weather.
It is
Like we
very good
stay back in
sleeping weather.
Pennsylvania, Bill.
It's, and I got to say this, in Florida, really kind of got to subtract another 10 degrees because there's a lot of moisture in the air. So it's really kind of like in the 40s, but
Okay.
it's good sleeping weather. And
Good sleeping
I'm waiting for that furnace to kick on. It hasn't kicked on yet, the electric furnace. It hasn't kicked on yet, but I think I'm expecting it to probably this weekend because they talked about temperatures taking a drop. But I'm planning on going out tomorrow night before I put my video together. And then I'm going to be going out at night. I'm going to try to get some sunsets. And we're also where our house is, I get incredible sunrises. So I'm going to try to get a sunrise too. It's very beautiful out back, like good setting with palm trees and stuff. So I'm going to try to go ahead and do that.
Believe me, what I saw today, Bill, this drone's made for that.
Oh, I'm excited, Ron. I am so super excited for that. So want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Had a great show. Hopefully I'm going to get some guests on. I'm trying to get some guys lined up. I know we had a great response to Rick being on last week. And Rick, again, thank you for being here. It was a fantastic show. Great Q&A with him about the Mavic 3.
And just let us know when Frank Wang's coming on.
I'm going to plan on it. I will definitely plan on that. Well, guys, thanks everybody again for showing up. We had a great chat tonight about the Mavic 3, and hope everybody has a great day. And remember, it's always a great day to fly. Take care.